Yo, this is the Ancient Texan. I went to a meeting this morning with a wife, or we call it the Fellowship, United Unitarian Fellowship. Kind of like a church, except you can be an atheist and go there. Tries to be all inclusive. And we were having a meeting after their regular, kind of formal, someone preaches and we sing song stuff, about whether we should put pardon my meeting an apple here, put a Black Lives Matter flag out in front of our church. And I originally wanted to go to the meeting, but just the way the discussion was posed, it sounded like it had already been decided and they're just explaining their reasoning. Maybe that's not fair because I didn't go to the meeting, so we'll never know. But I think it's a pretty much a done deal. The UUFN tends to be very solidly democratic, maybe, with a hint of progressive. I, on the other hand, have about come to the opinion that I'm both a Democrat and a Republican. And I officially belong to the Green Party in Maryland. So I was contemplating, what I would have said if I was given the audience. But it's, kind of a floating discussion where things kind of bounce around the room. So it's hard to get one's thoughts aligned in such a meeting. So I thought I'd come home and use my podcast to say what I think. And probably no one there will see it. So I'm putting it in my YouTube and my podcast. So the title of this podcast is Blank Lives Matter. What goes in the blank? Now there's the Republican conservative view that I often espouse: all lives matter. And then a liberal would say you're missing the point because in our society, black lives have not traditionally mattered as much, and therefore there needs to be a statement made about that they do matter. Here's kind of where this, the two sides come to balance in me. Blank lives matter. Now, what goes in the blank? I think what goes in the blank is anybody that's being treated, any group, could be, I guess it could be a person, any group that is treated like their lives don't matter. So, Cherokee Nation, when they got kicked out of South Carolina and had the Trail of Tears, we probably needed to say Cherokee lives matter. When the Jews got killed, tortured, etc. by the Germans, we needed to say Jewish lives matter. When the Palestinian lives are taken and abused by the Israelis, we need to say Palestinian lives matter. When the white man got all those jobs taken away and sent to China, we needed to say white male lives matter. It was mostly the white male working in the smelters and factories of America. If we just said white lives matter, maybe we would have asked ourselves, is what we're doing okay from a moral viewpoint? And that's a whole another discussion, another whole podcast. When the Chinese were building the railroad across America, maybe we should have said Chinese lives matter. When we interned the Japanese into prison camps during World War II, maybe we should have said Japanese lives matter. When we didn't give women the right to vote for a long time in this country, maybe we should have said women's lives matter. And once their lives matter, maybe their votes would matter. So I look at this statement that blank lives matter as a proclamation that a group that is being ignored, abused, treated like they don't matter, we need to make a statement that their lives do matter. Like right now, I would very much like to have one that says immigrants' lives matter, maybe even Venezuelan lives matter. We got a embargo on Venezuela, don't let them sell their oil, and the people are starving, and we blame it on their socialist government. That's a complicated situation. Or, even more, right now I think we need a flag out there that says Ukrainian lives matter. Now, if they let me vote at UUFN, if we should put a Black Lives Matter, it would be yes. My vote would be yes. If we're allowed to put a Ukrainian Lives Matter, a Venezuelan Lives Matter, and that we could be an inclusive place that as the present unfolds, we can put a flag up and say the people being abused, Palestinian Lives Matter, and put it up. But if we're only going to pick out one group, say Black Lives Matter, which they do, then I would vote no. However, I think in a fellowship where most of the people are Democrats, it's going to be 90% vote yes. I think it's kind of like voting for a third party candidate, my vote. And I suspect that I will not have as long to express this opinion of mine in that kind of format. So the rest of the world gets lucky to have me here saying blank lives matter and giving you my opinion of what should go into that blank. So this is the Ancient Texan, hoping that I at least cause you to think a little bit. Hope you have a good day. This is a Sunday. It's kind of beautiful here, although I think it's kind of clouding up here and may try to do a rain thing. I'm in my gazebo. It's going to rain on the tin roof, and it sounds really cool, but when it does, you wouldn't be able to hear me. So, hope you have a good week. Do a kind thing for somebody this week. This is the Ancient Texan. Namaste.